What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined as always by my dad Sean, and today reactions to the classics. We got another top 10 list, and we're doing today Peter Gabriel reaction. So looking forward to this, and this comes courtesy of a suggestion from our patron. This list comes from Brian.
Thank you, Brian, as always.
Shout out, Brian. We've done Prince. We've done
REM.
REM, yeah. So always look.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, always look forward to
tackle some tough ones.
To Brian's list, man. And I think I only know 2 songs on this list, so I'm not really familiar with Peter's work. I know you're more familiar, Dad, with it than I am. But
I'm looking at it real quick as you're going here, just try to.
But yeah, we're looking forward to this one, y'all. Before we get into the quick facts, and then of course the the 10 song reactions. If you like this, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that big red subscribe button if you like what you see. We upload every single day, and if you would maybe like to have us do a song reaction, album review, or another top 10 list, you can check out our Patreon link down below. Shout out to the patrons who help keep the channel running, man.
Thank you, guys.
And be sure to follow us on social media and Twitch as well. But all that to say, we got a little quick facts going of Peter Gabriel here.
Yeah, Brian said, I feel like he's a truly underrated artist. His willingness to blend prog rock with new wave, new age, world, art rock, and even R&B and pop is a testament to his creativity. This list took me a considerable amount of time, as honestly I could not get it down to 20. Nevertheless, 10. I named my son Gabriel, but I assure you it was for the angel and not Peter. Peter Gabriel hated naming albums, so that's why the first 4 albums are self-titled, being referenced only by the cover art. And his 2 biggest commercial albums had simple names, So and Us. And Trey, the history of Peter. He's won 3 Brit Awards, winning Best British Male in 1987, 6 Grammys, 13 MTV Music Awards. We'll get to that later. The first Pioneer Award at the BT Digital Music Awards, the Q Magazine Lifetime Achievement, and the Novello Award for Lifetime Achievement.
Heavy hitter, man.
And this is what's really crazy. In recognition of his many years of human rights activism, which we'll get into through these songs, he received the Man of Peace Award from the Nobel Peace Prize laureates in 2006. And Time Magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Oh, wait, not artists. People.
Big time, man.
All Music's described Gabriel as one of rock's most ambitious, innovative musicians, as well as one of its most political. True. He's inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Genesis in 2010 and on his own in 2014, Trey.
Hey.
So let's get into it. You can talk about this song. I actually know this song.
Yeah.
I know 3 songs. Well, I know 2, and then one's a cover of a song
Yeah,
that we know very
we're
well.
going to go now to Shock the Monkey from Peter Gabriel 4 in 1982. Brian noted that this was my first exposure to Peter in the early 80s, and seemed to fit right in with the new wave explosion. Gabriel claims it is a love song, but of course with his lyrics, it's not always apparent. Second single from this record went to 29 in the US, his first top 40 hit. Due to its title and the content of the video, the song is frequently assumed to be either an animal rights song or a reference to the famous experiments by Stanley Milgram described in his book Obedience to Authority. Gabriel himself has described the track as a love song, as Brian mentioned, that examines how jealousy can release one's basic instincts. The monkey is not a literal monkey, but a metaphor for one's feelings of jealousy.
So before I researched this, I would have never guessed. Well, I had no idea what Shock the Monkey was about. I never really thought about it much. But,
and the music will not be on the YouTube video, but we will have a full link down below so you can check that out. And then if you already know all these and just want to hear our thoughts on them, you can just check on YouTube, chill here. We're going to have the lyrics pulled up on our respective computers, but excited to get into this one. Let's do it, man. All right, number 10 coming in, Shock the Monkey. I can definitely see what Brian was getting at with the whole definitely new wave influence with just how you had those synths in there bumping throughout. You had that very catchy like that'll be going through my head tonight, man.
And he's good at that.
And and I like too whenever in the like post-chorus or whatever, like the like deep voice coming in, like shock. It was a nice contrast to what was more a lighter like sounding song and whatnot. This probably is not going to end up on my favorite songs list, but it is a good, I think, intro into kind of Peter, just from what I've been reading and whatnot. What do you think of it, Dad? I know you know it, but
I mean, I hated it with a passion in 1982 when I was 11 years old. Just keeping it real here, as we always do. I like it better now than that, of course. It's okay for me. It is impressive, though, the layering and the different things that Peter does now that I'm definitely not 11 anymore. I understand those things. So, not a bad tune. Not a bad tune.
No, man, and I do think it good, and I like the personal nature to Brian as well. Since this was his first, exposure to Peter, I think it's good to have it be, my first exposure.
I agree 100%, man. That takes us to the Book of Love it's a rated PG album version that we're playing. Brian said it's a cover of a Magnetic Fields tune. I was first exposed to this track as it was a song played in the season 8 finale of Scrubs. Quirky yet poignant lyrics make the song powerful. My research tells me it's a song written by Stephen Merritt and attributed to the Magnetic Fields, who are an American indie pop group, Trey, founded and led by him. The Book of Love appears on Magnetic Fields' 3-volume concept album, 69 love songs.
I've heard of it.
Have you really? So it's 3 volumes, 23 songs each. I'm talking, you're going all in. When the Magnetic Fields appeared at the Lyric Theater Hammersmith in January 2001 to play the whole of 69 love songs. So I got to go back and look and see how long those are. You were going to be in the audience for a while. They were joined by Peter for an encore of the Book of Love. He subsequently recorded the song for the soundtrack of the 2004 film Shall We Dance as well. So this thing has popped up in a few other places. I don't think I know this, but I wonder kind of when I hear it if I want.
Right, the Book of Love coming in here, and wow, man, what a beautiful
that thing
song.
is awesome, man. What an awesome choice.
Whereas, previous track, Shock the Monkey, probably isn't going to be in my top 3. This one, very well, I could see being in my top 3 favorite tracks at the end of this list. Just the orchestration was beautiful.
It was.
Fit the lyrical content very well, and I like how, I know Peter didn't write it, but you almost felt like he did just with how he was delivering these lines, and I really quite enjoyed the lyricism.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like, it's a testament to Peter and his vocals that, he can pull this off. Quite different from the last song and some of the other songs that I know are going to be on here. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's just as you said, it's just a beautiful, poignant song. Stripped back instrumentation because that's what it called for.
No, and I like how the choruses kind of changed each time because these notes, I love it when you read to me and you can read me anything. I love it when you sing to me and you can sing me anything. That was the second chorus. And then the last time, I love it when you give me things and you ought to give me wedding rings. So, that kind of progression of the relationship. But also noting that the Book of Love, throughout the song, it's long and boring. It's written very long ago. And talking about the Book of Love had music in it. Some of it's transcendental. Some of it's just really dumb. Ain't that the truth, man? But I really dug everything about this one. And now that's going to take us to our number 8 track on here, a different drum from the Passion Music for the Last Temptation of Christ in 1989.
Brian says, from one of my favorite movies of all time, my second favorite Scorsese movie. Gabriel won a Grammy for Best New Age World Album for this record. Check out, I don't say this wrong, but Yusoi Endoyer. We'll go with that on vocals. The album info for this album is originally composed as a soundtrack for the film The Last Temptation of Christ. But Peter spent several months after the film's release further developing the music, finally releasing it as a full-fledged album instead of a movie soundtrack. It's seen as a landmark in the popularization of world music and won a Grammy as Brian mentioned, for Best New Age Album in 1990. As a soundtrack for the film, Gabriel used the resources of the organization he founded, WOMAD, to bring together musicians from the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and South Asia. This is where this political stuff comes in.
I like that. That's kind of neat, man.
He worked with them to create music meant to enhance the mood of the film, but also added a modern ambient musical touch to the original pieces, producing a musical work that has influenced many musicians in the years since. And he's got a lot of different people on here. So this one probably should sound quite a bit different with that kind of build-up.
As I mentioned in the reaction, lived up to its name.
It did. Obviously, I didn't know ahead of time. There's only an instrumental, sort of. I mean, there are vocalizations
in the back.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
That kind of even though they were just, almost sounds rather than, lyrics and words themselves. You kind of wanted to just go along with them, man.
You did.
And,
you really did.
Get going with the beat, man. Obviously, the percussion in here is the standout, as you would expect. But I did like the whole world music atmosphere and vibe to it. Of course, you had Paul Simon's Graceland a few years prior to this.
Right.
It seemed during that time, here in the West, try to, inundate ourselves a little more with the world music sphere for a little bit of time there, man. But, I thought this one was cool, just showing, again, Peter's diversity in, music musicality, just being able to do the three songs we've done have all been vastly different. So I'm curious how we keep going. And now we're going to, I know, a very famous song of his, number 7, Mercy Street from So, which I know is probably his most famous record, would you say?
Yeah, I would say, and this is the longer version, not the single version. It is the album version.
And it got an interesting little backstory. Brian noted that this is based on a poem by Anne Sexton, 45 Mercy Street. The entire story of her life is tragic. She was a manic depressive but underwent hypnosis, which falsely yielded that her father had abused her. I don't think Anne was able to apologize to her father before his death, and unfortunately she later killed herself after attempt number 5. It features 2 harmonious Gabriel vocals, one a shadow vocal, an octave below the main vocal, intended to give a sensual, haunting effect he could only capture upon waking up. And NME said this was one of the top 10 most depressing songs ever.
Wow.
So I like me some depressing tracks. So we'll see what they got, man. We'll see what we got in here. All right, Mercy Street. What you think of this one?
I thought it was really good, really haunting in there. Just quite different from anything we've heard. His voice sounded great.
No, that dual, that harmony that we had talked about at the beginning, and I mentioned in the reaction, that's my favorite part of the list so far. This chorus just has that haunting, darker nature to it. I really, really enjoyed the world instrument, parts of it as well. And I just again think that it's kind of cool that he's able to blend stuff from another musical landscape in with his own unique sound. And
I agree.
He sounds very unique compared to really any other artist, that you're going to hear around this time as well. And then at the very end too, kind of powerful. He says Anne with her father is out in the boat. That's the first time he mentioned Anne.
Yeah.
And with her father now knowing kind of the backstory, a little bit of her, of what happened there. It's kind of heavy, man. Kind of heavy, especially in the chorus too. Dreaming of mercy in your daddy's arms.
Yeah.
Again, dreaming of Mercy Street. I swear they moved that sign. Looking for mercy in your daddy's arms. Powerful track, man. That's definitely going to be in the running for my, in my favorite.
Mine too, and I saw you recorded it in Brazil, so to really give it that authentic world music sound.
And now we're going to number 6 on the list, Games Without Frontiers from his third record from 1983. He has Kate Bush on backing vocals. Big fan of Kate. Went through her discography recently. Brian noted it's a powerful song talking about how sometimes nations' aggressive actions are like children playing. Love the addition of childlike whistling. This was his first top 10 hit in the UK, peaked at 4, and number 7 in Canada, 48 in the US. And his first 2 albums were distributed in the U.S. by Atlantic Records, but they rejected this record, which contained this track, telling Peter that this was committing, quote, commercial suicide. And then they dropped him, but of course they tried to buy the record back when this track took off in the UK, started getting that airplay in the US, and Gabriel, rightly so, was like, nah, man, get out of here, Atlantic, get out of here. And he let Mercury Records distribute the record in America.
All right.
Games Without Frontiers, and just a small correction. This came out in 1980, not 1983. Misspoke at the start, but nonetheless, what I kind of liked, again, this had its own unique vibe to it. I thought the addition of Kate on the backing vocal singing the song's title in French was pretty darn cool, and this is kind of it's that early Kate Bush where her voice was just so beautiful and next level, and just, of course, the content very, very heavy, and again, you have a little bit of everything in the kitchen sink on here.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mentioned during the reaction itself, it's a total Peter move to have her sing that in French. So I thought that was pretty funny. And it's based, I think it's talking about a long time running TV show broadcast in several countries called Games Without Frontiers. So I guess it was a French. I don't know if it's a French show or what it was where we got to that, but it's all about atmosphere on some of Gabriel's songs. Obviously, some of them are politically driven, and we're going to get to some of those. But I like the soundscape of it.
No, and as Brian mentioned, the whistling was pretty cool, the whistling tunes, and then but you kind of have that light-hearted whistling, but with some heavy lyrics. We hide in the dunes by the seaside. Whistling tunes. We're kissing baboons in the jungle. It's a knockout. Just kind of puts you in the war zone type of thing right there. And then if looks could kill, they probably will. In Games Without Frontiers, War Without Tears. And then goes into the hook again, and then just talking about some of the different countries in here, dressing up in costumes, playing silly games, hiding out in treetops, shouting out rude names, just how we're all going in against each other whenever we probably at the end of the day shouldn't, and but war ain't gonna stop anytime soon, I don't think, unfortunately. So I quite enjoyed that one, man. And now we're already to the top five.
Yeah, we are.
Number 5, Heroes. From Scratch Your Back. It was also on the Stranger Things soundtrack. Pretty cool. Brian said, this is the cover of the classic Bowie tune. However, the gradual build-up of the song and the powerful string arrangements gave his version its own power. Really love the Bowie. One of my favorite songs from him. So
me too.
Curious how Peter does this. Heroes coming in. What do you think of that one, Dad?
I thought it was really good. I kept wondering if it was going to speed up. I know that it was a slow build, but it kind of just stayed there. And I thought that was actually a good way to handle this, because you don't want to try to do the Bowie. The Bowie version is obviously iconic.
Yeah, Bowie's got, that's one of the greatest songs of all time, and it really, his version really does go into that build. So I like how Peter made it his own here. It's always tough when you tackle such an iconic song, but I think Peter did a great job here.
Well, and it shows his diversity, right? Once again, just really stripped back instrumentation and just his voice, and he can let that breathe, so he doesn't always need all the jazz and the horns and the world music. He's got all these different sides to him. So I think this was an excellent choice by Brian to show that.
And very much like the Book of Love, which was song number 9. It has that same type of orchestration in here. I thought it was just so beautifully, just perfectly arranged and produced here on this. And Peter's got a great voice. Since this record came out, later on, you have a little bit more mature vocal performance on there, which I think lends to this song well, and the lyrical content in it. Yeah, man, just a fantastic tune. One I'll be adding to the playlist for sure, to be a nice compliment to the original Bowie version. And now we're already in the top 4 now. We're going to number 4, Steam from Us.
Yeah, in 1992, Brian said Gabriel comes in strong with the horns again on this track from the early 90s, like its predecessor, Sledgehammer. This sucker is loaded with sexual references. It's the second single out this album. Gabriel said that the song is about a relationship in which the woman is sophisticated, bright, cultured, and knows everything about anything, while the man knows nothing about anything. However, he doesn't know about the woman, and she does not know much about herself. 10 in the UK, 32 in the US, number 1 on the US modern rock chart, number 1 in Canada. I love this. Knocking Whitney Houston's head, I Will Always Love You, off the top spot after a 10-week run. I just had to include that little Canada tidbit in there.
All right, Steam coming in, man. Really dug this one. This is the first track that really kind of went all in on the horns, and we had Daniel Lanois helping to arrange it.
Yeah, we did.
Which was pretty cool. Of course, I mean, anybody who was anybody really in this time period kind of worked with Lanois for a little bit there.
I was going to say, he popped up everywhere.
But yeah, man, really enjoyed this one. A couple of his vocal deliveries were awesome, especially in the chorus, wherever he said alive. He really was able to stretch that out and go in with it. And again, a lot of lyrics in this one, but they tell the story well. Just kind of what we were mentioning at the start, where there's this cultured gal. He's not so cultured, but as the song progresses, he knows, hey, well, at least I know you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a very layered song. Lots of stuff going on. As you mentioned, Peter gives a great vocal performance. This is not my favorite version of Peter. It's just me. It's just an individual preference, and that's why there's a lot of versions of him, man. So I know you really enjoyed this one. Yeah. It was okay for me, but I respect it for what it is.
No, exactly. Dug the lead guitar here in a little bit at certain points. Just let the different instruments shine. I've noticed that about Peter. And yeah, we had the innuendos coming in hot and heavy at the end, man. I kind of Appreciated that as well on a song named Steam, you know. And now we're going to a track that we have reacted to before on this channel, actually. We got Solsbury Hill all the way back in 1977. Brian noted that Gabriel's first single as a solo guy, which is great because the song feels autobiographical in nature. Seems like every time you turn around, it's featured on a soundtrack from a slice of life movie, and I am a sucker for odd time signatures as well. And Peter wrote this track about a spiritual experience atop Little Solsbury Hill in England after his departure from Genesis, of which, of course, he had been the lead singer since their inception. His debut single went top 20 in the UK, not bad, and 68 in the US.
Come on, US, man. Gabriel said of the song's meaning, it's about being prepared to lose what you have for what you might get. It's about letting go. It's written in 7/4 time, an unusual time signature that has been described as, quote, giving the song a constant sense of struggle. Producer Bob Ezrin placed some restrictions on the session musicians to give the song its distinctive sound. While earlier versions of the song feature more prominent electric guitar, Ezrin instructed guitarist Steve Hunter to instead perform main riff on a 12-string guitar, an instrument he hadn't played for a long time. And then rather than employing a full drum kit, they made do with a shaker in one hand and a drumstick in another, which they used to strike a telephone book for additional rhythmic textures. They constructed a fake drum kit on the keyboard. After all of the session musicians departed, they overdubbed some additional electronics, including the synth horn orchestration. From verse 2 onwards, a subdued 4-note flute riff played by Peter himself sounds off the beginning of each section of the lyrics. I had all that in there just because it is a very unique sounding song. I had never heard it until we did a triple shot song reaction, and this one was one of them on there. And it became a huge favorite of mine, so I already know I love this song.
It's great tune. Still coming in at number 3, and I ain't gonna argue with that one, man. This
no, I'm not either.
Just as good as I remembered it being,
fantastic.
I love the, as Brian mentioned, the autobiographical nature. I mean, leaving a band that was so successful, so huge as Genesis was, and embarking on that solo journey had to have been a bit nerve-wracking. But as kind of Peter mentioned in the songs, sometimes you got to let go, even if it's a good thing, and go forward with something that might be better even in the future. And I think Peter would say that he made the right choice, as evidenced by his unbelievably successful solo career. Man, my favorite part of this track is when the chorus hits, my heart going boom, 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 and just that uplifting instrumentation there. Son, he said, grab your things, I've come to take you home. You almost, it makes your heart a little warm.
Yeah, it does.
Ready to go, man. So I loved it. I know you're a big fan of it as well.
I don't have much else to add. I love that track. All right, that brings us to number 2 from Peter Gabriel 3 in 1980, Biko. Brian said, and I'm going to have a lot on this, the song's based on Stephen Biko, an anti-apartheid activist who was beaten to death while in police custody. It's Gabriel's most socially conscious to date and helped spur his own work in human rights activism. It's an anti-apartheid protest song, released as a single, 38 in the UK. It's a musical eulogy inspired by the death of the black South African anti-apartheid activist Steve Biko in police custody in September 1977. Gabriel wrote the song after hearing of Biko's death on the news. Influenced by his growing interest in African music styles, the song carried a sparse 2-tone beat played on a Brazilian drum and vocal percussion, in addition to distorted guitar and a synthesized bagpipe sound. The lyrics, which included phrases in Yosha, describe Biko's death and violence under the apartheid government. The song is bookended with recordings of songs sung at Biko's funeral. Soon after its release, a copy of Biko was seized by South African Customs and submitted to the Directorate of Publications, which banned the song, not a surprise, and the album on which it's featured for being critical of apartheid, calling it, quote, harmful to the security of the state. Thus, despite enduring popularity outside South Africa, it had no presence within the country, but it's got a great impact.
Yeah, it had an enormous political impact. It has been credited with creating a, quote, political awakening, both in terms of awareness of the brutalities of apartheid, as well as Biko as a person, which I'm looking forward to this, because I've never heard of Biko or really know much about, you just know kind of the basic stuff about apartheid. So it greatly raised Biko's profile, making his name known to millions of people who had not previously heard of him, well, such as myself.
Yeah, that's great.
Gabriel Gabriel's piece has been credited as the inspirations for many anti-apartheid songs that followed it. You have Stephen Van Zandt, the driving force behind the 1985 track Sun City, and the Artists United Against Apartheid initiative.
Big deal back then.
Stated that hearing Biko inspired him to begin one of those projects. And Bono, another socially conscious guy, called Gabriel to tell him that U2 had learned of the effects of apartheid from Biko.
Wow, what a thing. And there's also a movie that came out in 1987, had a lot of critical acclaim, called Cry Freedom, where Denzel Washington played Biko. So
cool.
I don't think I've ever heard this song, so I'm looking forward to this.
Longest one on this list, 7.5 minutes. So let's see what we got. All right, number 2, Biko. I'll let you start this one off, Dad, if you want.
I mean, it's not as dense lyrically as I thought it was going to be. But it's just the fact that it's more than that. It's, obviously has the world music feel.
Yeah.
But the fact that the impact this song had was tremendous.
Well, and I think opening and closing the track, too.
I thought that was fantastic.
The crowd from his funeral was just, again, kind of transported you right into that area of the world, man.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just brought some realism to this when wow, this is actually from this man's funeral. It just adds that extra punch to it. I see this is the closing track as well on this record, so
which it should be, man.
Yeah, it'd be tough to follow the denseness of that. And yeah, just going through the story of Biko here a little bit. As you mentioned, Dad, not as expanded as I thought it might be, but it gets the point across.
But it gets the point across. It didn't need to be.
And I like, too, how Peter even sings a little bit in one of South Africa's languages here. Again, kind of in like planting their kind of culture a little bit into his own, which I think was cool, because normally we try to take foreign cultures and put it into ours. I agree. As opposed to just trying to be a little adaptable ourselves as English speakers. But I thought the most powerful verse was, when I try and sleep at night, I can only dream in red. The outside world is black and white with only one color dead. Of course, talking about the color black,
right?
Unfortunately. And then there was a bit of a rallying cry, too, towards the end of the track. And the eyes of the world are watching now. And, just kind of like calling out South Africa, especially, like, let's step up, man. But really enjoyed the instrumentation on this. The chants in here, a bit anthemic at points. Very powerful tune.
Yeah, and we got Phil Collins on here somewhere. I noticed. I think he played drums on this. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, he played Surdo. Surdo? I guess I'm saying that right. I don't know what the heck that is, but I know some of you advanced musicians out there do it. Trey, that takes us to number 1, a song that I am incredibly familiar with.
Yeah, I kind of lied. I actually do know this song because we recently watched the music video.
Yeah, you and your sister watched this video, Sledgehammer off So in 1986.
Brian noted, after watching the making of this album, I became such a huge fan. The production work of Daniel Lanois is on another planet, and some of the stories are great. Like, during one session, Lanois locked Gabriel in the barn/studio they were using and told him he couldn't come out until he got a particular sequence correct. Lanois remembers Gabriel ripping the door from its hinges. Oh man, Gabriel's got that grown man strength to get out, and not mincing any words with Lanois when he caught up to him. Sledgehammer is one of the top 10 produced songs I've ever heard, and the music video is still considered one of the best of all time, and especially for its time, this music video was like insane, and it still holds up, man, when I watched it.
Yeah, it was the lead single, number 1 in the US and Canada, 4 in UK. Biggest hit in North American ties with Games Without Frontiers, which we had earlier on, as his biggest hit in the UK. In the US, it replaced, this is so weird, this is one of those weird things I come across in research. In the U.S., it replaced Invisible Touch by his former band Genesis. Coincidentally, that was their only number 1 ever.
That is very strange.
And the music video won a record 9 MTV Music Awards at the 1987 MTV Music Awards, and the Best British Video at the 87 Brit Awards. It also saw Gabriel nominated for 3 Grammy Awards for Best Rock Male Performance, Record of the Year, and Song of the Year. It was influenced by 60s soul music, in particular by the Memphis label Stax. The distinctive horn section was provided by a horn section led by Wayne Jackson of the Memphis Horns, which was Stax's musicians. The music video, I thought this was fantastic. Peter laid under a sheet of glass for 16 hours while filming the video, one frame at a time. He said it took a lot of hard work. I was thinking at the time, if anyone wants to try and copy this video, good luck to him.
Good luck to him. All right, man. Yeah, that video is just so wild.
Yeah, you got to
and
go watch it if
time.
you've never seen it and really appreciate it.
Bringing us to the end of this Peter Gabriel list, we have Sledgehammer coming in at 1. I know, Dad, you're not a huge fan of the track.
Honestly, I hated it back in the day. But, I was a teenager, and I didn't even appreciate the video because it was on repeat.
Yeah.
This wasn't my kind of music. I appreciate it a lot more now. Would it be my number one? Of course it wouldn't. Brian even said, "Sorry, Sean, that Sledgehammer's number one." I see why it's number one. I totally understand it. I do need to watch this, especially this. Brian said we need to watch this doc on this, and after that, after that build up,
some of the stories, yeah,
we definitely do. But I understand it. I understand why it's number one. It shows off a lot of different things. I am surprised it was able to go to number one. I remember that it did, but in the U.S. in July of '86, that is surprising with the way music was at that time. But what do you think of this?
Oh man, I really enjoy it. It's kind of has that. It reminded me a little bit of Steam, just musically with the horns and everything going in with it.
Yeah, and I think that was the idea with Steam.
And I kind of noted a little bit in here, but shout out to Tony Levin on the bass with this. And, I just thought the bass work was great. The use of the horns, the funkiness in it as well. It had a little bit of funkiness, soul, that artsy type of rock that Peter is known to do. And it all kind of just blends into a track that's a little bit fun. Of course, you got the sexual innuendos coming in here again.
For sure.
So, man, couple that with just the iconic video. I see why it is one.
Yeah, I do too.
Even if it might not be one on my list from this, it's still a darn good track, man. And as Brian said, just so well produced, which will now segue us greatly into our favorite tracks.
Yeah, and at the bottom of this list of Brian's, he has his honorable mentions, which I wanted to mention at the end, but I didn't want to mention at the start because you guys didn't know they weren't on here. Red Rain, I Have the Touch, Love Town, and one of my favorite songs, period, In Your Eyes. Shout out to Say Anything. What do you got for your favorite tracks, Trey?
All right, favorite tracks. I got to go Mercy Street. I'm gonna go Biko just for how I enjoyed that intro and outro in it with taking the recordings from the funeral and just of course just how powerful it is. And then I ironically enough I kind of like Steam more than I did Sledgehammer, even though Sledgehammer I know is the more iconic track. So I'm gonna give a nod to that to get a more kind of with Mercy Street's kind of a downer and Biko's heavy. I wanted a fun track in there, so I'll go Steam.
All right, so I'm just sitting here looking at my list. I'm going for sure The Book of Love and for sure Solsbury Hill.
Oh yeah, Solsbury Hill. I kind of just looked right over that. That would probably that'd probably I guess be in there. I don't know what it would replace, but
you can't pick four. But I guess I'll let you. Since you're picking four, then I'll do that. Well, Trey, you help me out here. So I'll take Solsbury Hill and The Book of Love, and then the other two that are kind of tied for me are Mercy Street and then Heroes. I like
Heroes
the way,
was nice,
even though it's not his quote song, I like what he did with it.
No, definitely. And it seems you kind of gravitate toward more the softer side of Peter, which is cool. And I think it just shows how diverse an artist he is, man. And I was not knowing really any of these tunes. It was impressive to go through, see his different iterations. We had stuff through all out his career, so I thought it was a very good list. Brian, I want to shout out him. Be sure to give him some love.
Tough one to put together, even with the length of Peter's songs, for him to go through and figure out what they were going to be is great.
So go let us know down in the comments below your top 10 Peter Gabriel tracks. As always, Dad, appreciate the research, especially on this. We had some interesting stories.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I respect Peter immensely, not only as an artist, but as a human being. And it did make me appreciate Peter a lot more doing this list. So thank you for that, Brian.
And until next time, y'all, thanks for watching. Happy listening, and we will see ya.